All right, there you go. You show up at this experiment, and Milgram, actually it was one of Milgram's associates who's there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But one of Milgram's associates is there and says, all right, you know, what we're going to do is participate in the study of memory. So whenever you show up, you meet also one of Milgram's associates, a guy named Mr. Wallace, who I believe was an accountant. So he had this acting gig he did. This is his world famous acting gig. Let's give him credit. Mr. Wallace. I can't even think of his real name. But anyway, so there you are. Like it's you and kindly old Mr. Wallace here. Like this. This is actually his picture. I should be like happy that I actually tracked these people down. All right, so you're told that not much is known about the effects of pain on memory, and and this is what you're going to study. So the way this experiment is going to work is one of you, either you or Mr. Wallace, is going to be a teacher, and one of you is going to be a learner. And so we need y'all to draw slips of paper. Who's going to be teacher, who's going to be learner, right? You pick your piece of paper. Mr. Wallace picks his piece of paper. Of course, they both say teacher on them, right? And so I go, oh, here's your piece of paper. Oh, what does yours say? Teacher. Oh, Mr. Wallace, you must be learner, right? It's rigged. Mr. Wallace is always the learner. All right, so you're told that not much is known about the effects of pain on memory. All right, so the teacher is going to read a list of word pairs to the learner. So you have a list, I believe it's like 50 items long, and what the teacher needs to do is, you know, go blue, box, nice, day, wild, duck, and the learner is going to have to learn these word pairs, right? Nothing particularly exciting about this. You read off a list of 50 odd word pairs, and Mr. Wallace is going to have to learn them. And then later you're going to test Mr. Wallace's memory by reading blue and giving choices, sky, ink, box, lamp. And Mr. Wallace has to indicate the correct option. It's a memory study. Oh, wait a second. Not much is known about the effects of pain on memory. So, what?
Let's zap.
Let's zap them. You seem really excited. You're like, I can't wait. Do you think you would? Let's say you're up at 5 points and you walk into a building and this is the experiment. You think you're gonna zap kindly old Mr. Wallace for 20 bucks?
Yes.
Do you think you would do this?
Honestly, because I know about the experiment.
Yes.
What?
Like, if this really happened to me, I would flash back to doing this in class.
Yeah, and so, but you know, I guess it'd be like if we had people who didn't know about this experiment. Do you think people would still do this?
Yes.
We haven't got the results yet. I don't even know what's going to happen. I haven't seen how this study ends. I kind of hope they don't. I kind of hope they don't. I kind of hope they don't. All right, so we're studying the effects of pain. Well, if Mr. Wallace misses a word pair, you have to give him a shock. What?
Flip the switch.
Flip the switch. You know, it actually went this way instead of this way. If I'm not mistaken, you actually had to press down. But you know, still, you know. All right, so start with what?
I would say it's just about following rules or authority.
I mean, but one of the rules, one of our rules is follow authority. I mean, that's we teach that from a very. Think about when you're a little bitty kid, and you get in trouble at school. Did your parents ever go, listen to the teacher?
Yeah.
I mean, so like your parents are encouraged. I mean, the answer is no. Like, I'll give you one. One of my friends posted this today on Facebook. She was like, her little daughter got the answer right, and her teacher marked it wrong. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna tell her to listen to the teacher, or what are you gonna do? Who do we punch? All right. So, right, when you're a little kid, people are like, follow authority, follow the teacher. You know, do what your teacher tells you to, or even your parents, right? If you disagree with your parents, did your parents ever go,
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, but then they always tell you to like stand up for what you believe in,
And then as soon as you do, they're like,
they smack you down, right? I mean, like, so, okay, but, you know, parents do, you know, we encourage people to follow authority. So, all right, Mr. Wallace misses the first one, 15 volts, not a big deal. But every time Mr. Wallace misses one, you add more. 30 volts, 45 volts, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120. Start moving up the list here. How far do you think people are going to go? This is going to go up to 450.
Like how far go before they decide
Not to like how far. So I'll give you a couple more things so you can help, so you can think about it. When Mr. Wallace finds out, he's going to be shocked. He says, I have a mild heart condition. Is that going to be a problem? Do you think people are going to shock, kindly, heart conditioned Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
You seem positively giddy. He's going to get it. But think.
I was gonna say, there's a really good YouTube video. Like, they did this, and it's great. And people
Now
are
you're
like,
just ruining it.
I'm sorry.
I haven't seen how this study turned out yet.
Oh, yes, you have. We all have.
We all have. Well, this is the original one. This is the one that got it all started. These are actually pictures from the original experiment. Y'all should be winging and awing a lot more.
They can hear his response too, right?
In some of the conditions, it's going to be even better than that.
Like they can hear him if they like shock and it really hurts. They can hear him.
In one condition, they couldn't. In one condition, they could. In another condition, Mr. Wallace is in the same room with them. And in one final condition, they have to actually put Mr. Wallace's hand on the shock plate.
That was the hardest one because it was personal.
I don't know. I haven't seen how it turns out. I'm hoping the answer's no, though. And I should have reviewed. I should have looked at these notes before I came to class today.
You really don't know how this experiment ends at all.
No.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he's being
Can't follow with anything. We're all just so different.
I make all my own PowerPoints from scratch. Of course, I know how this is going to turn out. I don't use canned PowerPoints with y'all. I write them all. I find pictures for y'all. I read a biography of Milgram just to prepare for this the first time. There's a lot of work that goes behind this. I would just like to share that. I will tell you, last semester, I kept saying that I don't know how it's going to turn out. This one student was like really upset with me. She's like, you should prepare. You're right, I should. I should definitely prepare more. Okay, so Mr. Wallace gets strapped. They take Mr. Wallace to another room. He gets strapped in. They put, electrode paste on him to make a better connection. What's intriguing at this point is they actually give the subject a shock of 90 volts so he understands, what's going to happen. And intriguingly, he's the only person who gets shocked in the whole experiment. So, okay, but how far? So, you're right. So, the experiment gets started, and about 120 odd, Mr. Wallace, in one condition, starts complaining. What do you think is going to happen at this point? So if you're predicting, so you have your shocks, right? So we have all of our shocks. So we go, okay, it starts over here at 0, 120, so we have 100% of the people participating, 120, 240, 360, 400. So around here, Mr. Wallace goes, let me out of here, I'm done. What do you think is going to happen to people? So do you think people are going to get started with this at all? Do you think people are going to shock him at all? Yep. What about here? So if you were graphing it, would you say it looks something like this? So Mr. Wallace is, at this point, Mr. Wallace complains.
It's going to be very
So-
low dip.
So okay, we got 100. Do we 100 people still do like 75, 50, 25? So when Mr. Wallace complains, what's going to happen to 1, 2, 3? Good. What's going to happen? Like how much will how many people will still keep shocking him after he complains?
Is this still the one where they're coaching them and telling them to keep going?
I don't know. Okay, you got to think about the coaching and the telling, though, right? Because we're trying to understand what's going to happen. Say, well, World War II is our example, right? In World War II, if you don't continue, I shoot you. So in this example, if you don't continue, all I do is say, please continue. how much of me? So an old man is yelling at you because you're shocking him, and I go, please continue. What are you gonna do?
Me personally?
No, see, I know you're gonna. I mean, I'm not. You know, everyone lies and says, you know, well, and then y'all are like, people are just ignoring Mr. Wallace. That'll make me sad. All right, so there were several conditions in this experiment, and the one that most people know about, Mr. Wallace is in another room. In one condition, he doesn't give any feedback at all. He just takes his shocks and things go on. In another condition, about 120 volts or so, Mr. Wallace starts banging on the wall. Let me out of here! Let me out of here! Let me out of here! And y'all are like, and y'all predict that basically, you know, most of the people are going to, actually the modal response is everyone basically goes, the old man's at it again. He's just screaming, get off my lawn. Don't make me sad. So, all right, so we have him where he starts complaining, you know, oh, this hurts, you know, experiment, that's all, get me out of here. And in this condition, he's in another room, but he starts complaining. So, right? What about here where he says, what about at 210 volts? Mr. Wallace says, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. I'm done. What do you think people, and the experimenter says, please continue.
Keep going. He signed up for it.
But he's unsigning up for it, isn't he?
I'm just saying what they.
I guess there's no taking back.
Yes.
There's no takebacks?
Point of no return.
Don't make me sad. All right. And so Mr. Wallace starts complaining, and if the subject says, I don't want to do this anymore, and many actually, most of them did. Most of them are like, you know, I'm not going to go forward anymore. And if they did, the experimenter pulls out the big guns. Please continue. Oh, what do you think the experimenter's going to do when that doesn't work?
You must continue.
The experiment requires you to continue.
Why don't you tell the experiment to do it themselves? I don't understand.
So like there was no threat to the person.
Nope. You got your money, and you could have left at any point. Like you already had your money, you could basically, you know.
And no one did that.
Vast majority of it. There are people that were.
There are people who did that. Wait a second. As far as I know, there was no one who took the money and just didn't do anything. But absolutely essential, and they finally said you have no choice. But do they actually really have choice?
Yes.
Yeah. They could have taken the money and left. They could have given the money back and left. So okay. So before this experiment was done, right? So before they actually ran this, they asked some psychiatrists. They asked everyday normal people. So they asked some college students, and I'm implying college students are not everyday normal people, but why not? Right? So
Or not.
here's what's intriguing. Before this experiment was done, many people predicted that people wouldn't even start. It was a kinder age then, I imagine. George, y'all are like, yeah, everyone will start, right? Do you predict anyone's going to go to 450 volts?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so we haven't seen this yet. I don't know why I stopped at 400. So same answer choices. What percentage of people roughly do you think are going to go all the way over here to 450? If you were predicting. So no one predicted that before the experiment was done. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, still in for a surprise. All right, so here's y'all's predicted, where y'all are at. All right, so the modal response is 25%. Right?